Three, two, one. What's going on, folks? Welcome to 34 Questions. I'm your host, 34, and tonight we have Nico Blitz in the building.
Yes, sir. What's poppin', 34? Nice to see you over Zoom, over FaceTime, Google Meet, whatever you want to call this. So
Yeah.
We here, man. We here.
For sure, man. I want to appreciate you for making the time for this interview, and just being open to talk to a stranger about life and what makes you tick and everything, man. Not everyone's open to that, so I think it. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to strangers my whole life, and especially over the past couple of years, just doing the same thing you're doing, bro. I'm so used to talking to strangers. Like, I feel like if I don't meet somebody new and I don't get to just learn about somebody who I'm just unfamiliar with, I haven't done like a good job during my day.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I hear you. I hope to fill my life in a similar way, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
For the folks out there who are unfamiliar with the flow of the show, we typically start off with some warm-up questions. After that, we'll jump into an icebreaker. After the icebreaker, we'll turn to the Wheel of Fate, where we'll spin the wheel. There's 34 questions on the wheel, and whichever number it lands on, that's how the conversation will flow. And then we'll finish out with some closeout questions. Sound good to you, Nico?
Okay, that sounds good with me, bro. I love it.
For sure, man. Well, before we jump into it, I just want to ask you, how have you been? You've been doing great. You've been doing good. How you been lately, man?
I've been good, man. I mean, so I want to first apologize because I was just slightly late for this interview. Reason why I was late is because I just had a super busy day. I was shooting content for a song that I'm releasing in about a month.
I got you.
Yeah, I'm not rapping, I'm not singing, I'm not doing any of that. I'm strictly producing. I'm executive producing. For people who don't know the difference, executive producing, think of it as DJ Khaled, right? So you are able to get artist A and producer B, put them in a room, and boom, you make some magic happen. As like a strict producer, is someone who like physically makes the music. So I've just been doing a hybrid of that for the past couple of months. Something that I've been keeping tucked, but now I'm willing to like go forth and start to like let everybody know like this is the wave we're on right now.
That's what's up, man. I'm excited. I definitely I know that feeling, right? Like you hear artists that you like, you hear a producer that you like, yo, these two need to connect, these two need to make something for the masses. So that's cool, man. I'm interested. I almost want to ask you what genre it's gonna be, but you don't have to tell me if you don't need to.
Oh, no. I'll tell you, man. Like I've always had this genre in mind subconsciously, right? So if I were to relate my song, it's called Come Through, featuring Catch 24 and Johnny Maxwell, which is dropping mid-September. But if I were to give you an idea of what it sounds like, think of Ghost Town DJs, My Boo. So
interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
Think of it as like, no, it's good. So think of it as like up-tempo R&B.
Okay.
Up-tempo R&B, yeah. And then the drums that I have is actually a genre called UK Garage. So for people who don't know what UK Garage is, it's actually a genre that started based in the United Kingdom, the UK. And think of like hip-hop break beats, just simple like kits.
Yeah.
But since it's at like a faster tempo, it's more like it's like that.
Okay.
So that's like bro, imagine those drums on like an R&B type vibe. That's exactly where I'm at. And it was funny like crafting this sound because I always thought about what type of music I wanted to create, and immediately one of my favorite songs ever is actually Love You Down by INOJ. And so I was like, you know what? If there's any sound that I want to create that's like the Nico Blitz sound, this is where I want to go. And this is what I'm going to start off with. And, we're just going to see where it goes from there.
I got you. Is this project like just something you're doing on the side, or this is something that you're like trying to formulate to find a path to push forward and make a bunch of compilations?
Yeah. So it's just going to be a single.
Okay.
I think for the first go around with my producer, homie Johnny Maxwell, who's also an amazing artist, he is also finding his way through the music industry. But he's super talented, and me and him have known each other for years, but it finally took now to realize like, hey, I think we should just join forces and see what we can create. And honestly, like I've worked with a lot of people in my life, but especially on a music tip, working with someone and it just feels so seamless and so easy, and just here's some of my ideas. Let's see if we can implement it. Okay, that didn't work. Cool. Johnny comes in like, oh, here's some of my ideas with this. Okay, cool. We could do this. And like it's gotten to the point where it's just so easy for us to create. And if there's anything that I've learned over the past couple of years in me being in LA, is that if it's not as seamless and it's not as easy to work with someone, it's probably not for you.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I've just met so many people in LA. I've been in LA for about 9 years now. And I've worked with people who I've wanted to work with, but maybe it didn't seem like the perfect fit for them. I've worked with people who, like, on the opposite end, they felt like they really wanted to work with me and maybe didn't mesh well with me. And then there's only been a handful of people who I'm just like, this works like perfectly, so let's just continue to do this. And between like Johnny Maxwell, my producer and artist homie, and Catch 24, who's one of my good DJ homies who's also a singer, it just made sense. And when we made the record, it was like, this is perfect. Unfortunately, I can't show anybody the record right now, but
no worries.
Mid September, it's out, y'all. Come through.
It'll be worth the wait, I'm sure.
It will be, bro. It will be.
Team chemistry is super crucial to any project, especially you bring people on. I think that's something I have a hard time with, honestly. I have a lot of homies. We always talk about ideas. We talk about things to kind of like, oh, that'd be great. But I think we all have that hesitation. Like, I don't know if I'm going to work well with my homie, because we always just kick it and have fun. It's different when you have to shift that gear and be like, nah, let's get something done. And like something important to everyone. So yeah, like maybe I'll ask you later on a little bit more on your tips on, how do you find that chemistry, or how do you know when it's right?
For sure.
But anyways, after that was the introductory question, but we're going to jump into the warm-up. So, my first question for you in the warm-up is, what would you like the audience to know about you? We just met right now, but for the folks out there who may not know who Nico Blitz is, what would you like them to know?
Wow. I mean, that's a very broad question in the sense of like, there's so many things I feel like nobody really knows about me, so I'm trying to pinpoint to the right one that I really want people to know about.
Whatever feels right for you, man. Like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, so well, let me ask you first, 34. Are you like, what's your ethnicity? Are you Filipino? Are you?
I am Filipino, man. 100%.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect, bro. So, for me, I'm 100% Filipino. And if there's something that I would like the audience to know about me, is that 10 years ago, I wasn't really proud to be like, I'm Filipino.
Word. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason being is because, growing up in San Francisco, Daly City area, there was just so many Filipinos around me. So I kind of felt like it wasn't really cool to be Filipino, or I felt like if someone was talking Tagalog to me, it was just like, oh, you're one of like the FOB Filipinos. I'm like the more Americanized Filipino. Like, I don't speak Tagalog. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I come to realize, like, when I did move to LA and there was just like nothing but Hispanics, I felt kind of lonely. I was like, dude, where the hell are all the Filipinos, right?
Yeah.
And so, it took a lot of like soul searching, and it wasn't until like the past 5 years. It was a little bit after college, but it wasn't until like the past 5 years where I was like, you know what, like, I am actually very proud to be Filipino, and I now want the entire world to know that I'm Filipino, and everything that I'm doing is for me, but also for any other Filipino who ever thought that they could do what they wanted to do. Yeah. Or if other people thought they could do what I'm currently doing, like whether it be like DJing, music, podcasting, making food festivals and whatnot. Like, now I've really championed being Filipino because like I've come to realize like how important that is for other people. And so it wasn't always like this, but it is now. So
No, I got you, man. Honestly, I would say I have a very similar experience or feeling about it. I'm proud to be Filipino, but I think the one thing that disheartens me is that there's that divide between the folks in the motherland and then the folk like Filipino Americans, right? And I didn't know about this until recently when I found out, like, I don't know how true this is, but Filipinos in the Philippines don't really like Joe Coy. You know, they feel like they misrepresent him, or like he only represents Filipino Americans or that experience. So I'm like, damn, because you know, Filipino Americans, we all about Joe Coy, but now it's like putting it in a different lens. But that's what's up.
And you know what, bro? It's because like, I want to say I've met the guy and he's super cool, right? Like by the end of the night, he was like, I love you, bro. Like you're so dope. And I was like, thank you. Like that actually means a lot to me. But you know, like I think from like a Filipino American standpoint, he is like the perfect representation of like who we are, right? It's like we know a little bit of Tagalog, we know enough to get by, we can crack like low-hanging fruit Filipino jokes and it works. And it's funny for us. It's super funny for us. And like Joe Coy is probably the most relatable Filipino American that like anybody can like relate to, right? Whereas if you're somebody strictly from the Philippines, you might be looking at him and is just like I don't get these jokes. Like these must be just like Filipino American jokes. I mean, even more so, like Joe Coy is like, I believe he's like half white, or he's not full Filipino to my understanding, right? And at the end of the day, it's just like, well, I think that despite the fact that he's only half Filipino, or that he might be championing everything from like a Filipino American standpoint, it doesn't make him any less Filipino. And I think that now that he has a platform to put Filipinos on the map, whether it be for comedy or acting or anything of that sort, like we should champion that guy, because now he's literally opened up the doors for other Filipino Americans to do the things that he's doing. Matter of fact, there are so many Filipino comedians now that I see on like TikTok or like Instagram Reels, and I'm just like I'm so glad you guys exist. Like I wanted this my whole life, but like now it's only happening. And I'm not saying it's solely because of Joe Coy, but I am saying that he is like the first, and after him came so many more other people, like Random Ridge, for example. And it's like, now that these gates are open, can we just appreciate the fact that they're open for all of us to just go wide through to? Like that's all I'm asking for, right? Like there shouldn't be any divide between like Filipinos and Filipino Americans. And by Filipinos, I mean people from the motherland. But where I will side on people from the Philippines is that if you are Filipino American or Filipino Australian or Filipino British or Filipino whatever, like take some time and go home. I know it costs like $1,600 US to get there. I totally get that, right? I'm not dismissing that. But if you have the opportunity to go home, learn not only about like the motherland and how we came to be, but learn about where your specific family is from and what they had to do to get to where they are now. And I promise you will get a better understanding of what the Philippines experience is.
I got you. Have you seen that new show or new movie Joyride? Or not yet?
Is that the one with Kevin Hart?
Nah, Joyride is the one with the it's like the 4 Asian girls. They go to China and they're like looking.
Oh no! I want to watch that.
I don't know if I should bring this up then. Like, it's not a spoiler.
No,
but
go ahead.
There was something in it that really resonated with me, right? So the situation is one of the characters is trying to impress a businessman in China. And the guy in China is like, yo, the only way you're going to impress me is if you can prove to me that you know your family here in China. And I was like, damn. Because if I think about it, like if I go to the Philippines and someone's going to ask me that question, like, yeah, I know my cousins, but we're not super close. Like, you know, I know my aunties and uncles, but we're not super close. So it really made me think about it. Like, damn, do I know my family out there? Or like, how connected are we? Am I putting enough effort to keep that relationship, you know, good and in a good standing? But yeah.
And you know, honestly, 34, it comes back to like, I mean, are your grandparents around still?
Nah, and I lost all four probably at a young age, which is,
Oh my God, sorry to hear that.
it's all good. But this is why this platform was created too, because I wish I got to talk to them. I wish I heard who they were in the back in the day. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the opportunity to ask your parents about like, how your grandparents like, what their lives were like, right? I highly suggest that for you and for like anybody listening to this podcast, right? So on my wrist, for everybody viewing, I have 1972 on my wrist. So 1972 is actually the year that my grandfather migrated from the Philippines to San Francisco specifically. And so, my grandpa's still around, but I asked my mom about this, and my mom was young at the time, like around 5 or maybe even like less, but she said that my grandpa moved here with like $13 in his pocket, and he had to work as like whatever he could find, right? Janitor, did it. And mind you, my grandpa had like a military background, so it was kind of like you go from like military to like janitor. And then he was able to like acquire a house and then move my grandma and my mom over here. And then he was able to acquire a car, which allowed him to work more. Car got broken into and stolen, but my grandpa kept his head up, and he was able to continue and eventually ship a lot of my family members from the Philippines to the United States through his work. And so, when my mom told me that story, I was like, what year did he move here? And she's like, 1972. I'm like, perfect. I literally need that to remind myself that, my grandfather is a hard worker, and whatever your goals are, whatever your dreams are, like you can accomplish as long as you just stick to it. And so, yeah,
for sure, man. That's a dope tattoo for that. It does make me think about like, it blows my mind to think that's me. If I was gonna move to another country and just try to start like settle down, like could I do that? Like, is that something that's viable? And it doesn't feel like it is, but our family, the history of being immigration, that's what they did, and they had this dream of like going somewhere new and exploring and doing all these new things. So I had, honestly, any immigrant families out there, mad respect to your ancestors for doing that. Because I don't think in today's world a lot of people are open to that. I'm not sure, honestly.
A lot of people aren't, at least amongst like my circles. I can't speak for everybody, right?
Sure. Yeah,
but if I can at least go to like my immediate circles, right? Like some of my closest friends, they love being back home in the Bay Area, and I can never knock them for that, right? Like I love them to death. And then I have like a group of friends who basically just want to stay there, not really go anywhere. And then I have a group of friends who want to travel the world and do this and do that, and they're okay with like having kids at like mid-30s. They're okay with getting married like a little bit later. They're okay with doing the quote-unquote abnormal things. I think what's so funny is that, like, I'll take my grandfather's story, for example. I think at one point it seemed very abnormal for someone to want to go halfway across the world and start a new life with the idea that I'm going to ship everybody over here, or as many of y'all as I can over there, so we can start new lives. I'm pretty sure my great-grandmother or my great-grandparents looked at him like, you're freaking crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what happens now is that me being first-generation Filipino-American, I think a lot of first-generation Filipino-Americans, or even second-generation Filipino-Americans, are scared because this is what the goal was supposed to be. Like, we were supposed to be here. But who says that we're supposed to be here forever?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what if we wanted to go to Thailand? What if we wanted to do the same thing but move back to the Philippines? What if we wanted to move to like Mexico or Japan or anything like that? Like, we shouldn't be scared to want to do these things, but we're in a weird situation to where, like, if our parents instilled like this is the ultimate goal, to be in the United States. It's like, well, maybe for you guys.
Yeah.
Right? But why should I be scared, or why should I think that the world is as small as making it in the United States? Like, the world is that much more massive that we can make it anywhere nowadays. So, and with the power of the internet, it's not that far off from doing literally anything you want to do. So
Sure. No, I actually didn't think about that, but you're right. I think a part of me does think about how, am I going against my grandma? It was my grandma that moved here first. Am I going against her wishes by not wanting to stay here? Like, I don't want to disrespect all that struggle and all the work that she had to do just to bring people in. So yeah, I do think about that now that you mention it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to look at it, bro, is like our grandparents and our parents and our ancestors and everything. Think about how the Philippines is rooted, right? Like, we are basically Spaniard, right?
Yeah.
We are. We really are. We're basically Spaniard, but we had people there fighting to keep us alive and fighting to keep us from getting overtaken. Why? For liberation. So it is rooted in our culture that we constantly fight for liberation.
Interesting.
So why is it that when our families fight for our liberation, our families fight to get us to the United States, why is it that we succumb to not like the Spaniards or anybody else telling us like, oh, you can't do this because but more so we just get more in our heads about like, oh, well, I can't do this because I'm scared.
Yeah.
I can't do this because I don't have Like, you literally can. Like, you literally can. I'm telling you, you literally can. It's like we get so scared and we end up like slaving ourselves at that point, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Our parents and our grandparents fought so hard for liberation just for us to enslave ourselves. Like, that makes zero sense, bro. Zero sense.
You're right. That is another way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's funny that you said we are a people of liberation, right? It's interesting because I had another guest come on and they talked about Filipinos being people of expression. So now I think I'm taking notes down. So I got liberation and expression because they both fit in my mind, and maybe I'll get this like fuller idea of Filipinos. And I don't know, I haven't talked to too many people of Filipinos from the motherland, but if you have anything to add, that'd be great. But that is crazy. All right, man. Let's move on to the second warm up. We got 2 more to go before we move on. But the second one is, how would you like to be honored? Let me break that down a little bit. If I were to do something in your honor, a way to express the energy you possess, what sort of act could I do?
Well, on a monetary note, everyone could book the hell out of me.
I got you.
Oh my god. No. Honestly, I'm a very simple person, bro. Like, I take every opportunity in a very like grateful perspective. So literally just this conversation right now, the fact that you reached out and you wanted to interview me, like, that's honoring me like in so many different ways, because, you know, I was in a position where like I was always interviewing people and I had the honor of doing that for them. And so I don't know, a couple years later, maybe like 6 years later, after being in LA, like being in these opportunities where I'm the person who's getting interviewed, like, it is such a huge honor to me, bro. Like I literally have nothing else that I could really ask for other than like, wow, like 34 or anybody is actually interested in talking with me. Like, it's super cool to me, and that's why I take my time to make sure these things happen, and I literally block off the next hour just to make sure like we have the best conversation, bro. So, you know, I as a people's person, I just like to have the honor of talking to everybody who wants to talk to me, right? Like, I'll tell Jackie all the time, like, this year has been very changing, or has been very different in the sense of I've never gotten like this much attention before. And it's kind of weird to me, bro. Like, you know, I'm in LA, there's like celebrities everywhere. Yeah. And so I've always been on that side of just like, oh my God, like, can I get a photo with you? Da da da. Like, and in no way, am I like holding myself to that type of like stature, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's in a sense of where like I could do like a Dodgers Filipino Heritage Night, and so many people want to take photos, and like I take my time to take a photo with everyone, and I take my time to get to know everybody's names. Even though I might not remember everybody's names at the end of the day, like I literally ask everybody, like, I'm sorry, like, what was your name again? Because let me do the honor of recognizing you because you recognized me. And that's super cool to me. So,
That's what's up,
you
man.
do this. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, now we know, and I hope other folks who want to, do the same give you that chance or opportunity to just get to know each other, right? But I feel you. I feel you definitely being on the other end of it. I do appreciate anybody out there who's like, hey, why don't you come on my show, or like, let's talk. And I'm just like, damn, y'all want to talk to me, or like, y'all want to hear what I'm saying? But yeah, no, I get it, man. Do you feel like you're comfortable like going up to a celebrity and be like, yo, man, just wanted to, because I never feel comfortable. I'm always like, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to feel like I'm doing too much. But yeah, you feel like you're comfortable.
Yeah, you know what? It was funny because when I first moved to LA, I definitely did not feel comfortable. I always felt like, oh, I gotta get this photo. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. But like now it's just so normal, bro. And it's like, I think what's cool is that when you work very hard at what you do, and you're able to, you feel confident in what you do, and you become your own person. You start to know like who you are through what you do. And once you become confident in what you do, you start to realize that everybody else is literally doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, you could be a podcaster, you could be a nurse, you could be a doctor, you could be somebody working at like a Taco Bell, for example. And like, you come to realize like everybody here, for the most part, is like a master at like what they do. So, I treat everybody with that same respect. Obviously, J. Cole's my favorite rapper, right? So
I hear you,
like,
dog. Yeah.
I've met him already, so I already feel like cool. Like after that, I don't really have to geek out over seeing anybody anymore.
I feel you.
But like outside of that, it's like I treat everybody with the exact same amount of respect, the same amount of love, because you might think you might know your favorite celebrity, but you know them just as much as you know your neighbor who you've never talked to and you've lived next to for the past 20 years of your life.
Yeah.
And so you got to treat both of those people with the exact same amount of respect.
For sure. I would totally geek out if it was J. Cole and I could approach him.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, since you kind of got used to it, is it just a simple like, hey, what's going on? Just want to say what's up, or is it like, for me, I'm always like, all right, I don't want to bother you, but just want to say hi. Maybe I get a handshake, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, funny story about J. Cole. So when I met him, and the reason why, I take some time to like learn everybody's names is because when I met J. Cole, he was like, it was at like one of the concerts we were throwing at our radio. It was like a radio festival that we were doing a couple years back. And so my boss directly knew him, and he knew that I love J. Cole, so then he introduced us.
Damn.
And then he was like, what's up, my name is Jermaine, what's your name? I'm like, Nico. And so at that moment I was just like, well, if my favorite rapper in the freaking world can introduce himself to me on a first name basis, like not even J. Cole, he said Jermaine, I'm like, I can do that for other people, right? And so I guess, that was a sidebar, but to answer your question, 34, when I meet somebody who I just want to shake hands with or anything, I'm just like, hey, like, and I repeat their name. Like, I met Adam Sandler the other day, right? And I was like, Adam, my name is Nico. He's like, Nico, nice to meet you. I was like, I just want to say you're dope. Let's take a quick flick. He was like, sure, buddy, I got you. All right, bro. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you and all the work that you've done.
Damn. Sure.
Like, yeah, just quick, super quick.
Yeah. You don't want to take up too much of their time, right? Like,
exactly.
In my mind,
Exactly.
I'll get into like interviewing mode, and I'll be like, hey, so what was your favorite film that you did, or some shit like that.
Exactly, bro. But the reason why I don't get into those questions too is because like, these are questions that they've probably been asked their entire lives, right? And so like it's funny when people ask me things about like DJing or things about like music or whatever.
Mhm.
And then in my mind I'm just like, this is cool and all, but like I like shit that's not music. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I like other shit, bro.
No, I hear you, man. I hear you. That's why, like, for the questions I have for you, I hope they're not run of the mill questions, and you feel like
no,
they're a little different.
no. These are great. These are great. I'm loving these questions, bro. I'm loving these.
Right on, man. Well, on that note, let's move on to this last question of the warm up, which is on a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you know yourself?
10. 10. I definitely know myself like 100%. I think it took a lot for me to like move from the Bay Area to Los Angeles, and at that point, that was back in 2014, I probably thought I knew myself 100%, right? I probably knew like half of me. But it was until I went out of my comfort zone, started having conversations with myself and like living by myself, that I really got to know me. And especially now, like I'll keep it at this type of level, right? Like most people like to drink. And I've come to realize, like, if I want to wake up tomorrow morning and be productive at like 7 o'clock in the freaking morning and get to it right away, I don't want to feel like crap. So I know I'm not going to want to drink anymore. And so I know myself to that extent too, to where it's like I have been able to put boundaries on myself and discipline myself enough to know like what is more important to me, right? I think that all these distractions, whether it be like alcohol, I mean, I still drink a little bit, right? But whether it be like alcohol or just like simply going out, like it was Head in the Clouds festival yesterday over here in LA, and there was a K-pop group that I really wanted to see, but I had just went the day before with my girl and our friends. We were already drinking, we were already out the whole day, and I told myself, I'm tired, I have a lot of work that I want to do, and I think me and my girl just need like a couple hours like to ourselves without anybody or anything around, right?
Yeah.
And I knew that I needed that more than going to the festival again.
Gotcha.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And it's just knowing yourself on like the simple things, right? Like, yeah, you can talk about like the music that you like or like your favorite anime that you like or whatever, but like truly knowing yourself comes down to the decisions that you make on a daily basis and why you make these decisions. So yeah,
interesting.
I'd say I know myself on a 10 out of 10, my friend. And who knows, I think you ask me this a couple years from now, I might look back and be like, at that point I probably knew myself at like a 7. Now I know myself as a 10. So yeah. It's ever changing.
No, it is for sure. For me, my default answer to any folks that need clarity, I'm like, at my best moments, I feel like I'm a 10. At my worst moments, I feel like I'm a 1. And that changes through your life, right? Like that, it's not always good. It's not always bad. So it fluctuates for me personally. But for you, since, you're at a 10, let me ask you, when's the last time you surprised yourself? When you're like, oh shit, that's me? I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah, it actually happened the other day. So as a DJ, right, like you're always looking for that moment that makes you like, that moment that makes you like either a little bit of nervous, but also a little like excited. And for me, I haven't gotten that in a while. And so not that I'm constantly searching for that feeling, but when that feeling happens, I know it. I know I'm in the right place in the right time, but it goes back to me also being surprised, like, wow, like this is like what I was looking for without even knowing, right? So
yeah.
To tie in the conversation that we had in the beginning, like me and my boy Johnny, we were working on this song Come Through for like the past 3 months. And so we just got the master delivered to us the day before I was going to DJ Filipino Heritage Night at Dodger Stadium. And so every time they have me DJ, they give me about like 5 or 7 minutes to be on like the Jumbotron, and everybody in the stadium gets to like see me and hear me DJ. And I was like, I'm gonna take an opportunity just to play this song of mine that's like unreleased. And literally, like, as my girlfriend Jackie Ramirez, she was introducing me, I felt all the jitters just hit, bro. Like, I was like, I knew I was gonna do this. I didn't think I would feel this way. Like this jolt of like excitement and nervousness, it caught me off guard. To answer your question, it surprised me because I was like, I didn't think this would happen.
You didn't think you would get nervous, or?
I didn't think I would get nervous. I didn't think I'd be like this mixture of like nervous and excited and surprised. Gotcha. And I was like, oh yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And mind you, I've DJ'd everywhere, bro. I've DJ'd everywhere between like the Philippines to Coachella to other festivals to what have you. And this, I was like, I'm actually nervous right now to play my song at a spot where I DJ very regularly. This is weird. Yeah. But it just meant that I was at the right place.
And it meant to you to share that, right? Share the song and how people are going to react. The great unknown of like, okay, I'm going to share my art. How are people going to feel about it? It is, I mean, one of my first dreams was to be a rapper. And anytime people would ask me like, hey, can you can you do a freestyle right now? Oh man, that'd be like the worst for me. Cause I'm more of a writer than I am a freestyler. So it would suck for me to be like, am I just going to do something I remembered or, but it never sat right with me. But I feel you when it comes to sharing your stuff. That I think that feeling will always come up. So, as you continue to make maybe new music, if you're looking for that feeling, I think that's all you got to do.
Yeah, bro. I mean, it's always that gut feeling. Everyone listening, period, has experienced that feeling at least once in their life, right? I think the only difference is that, me amongst other people, like we look for that feeling a lot. We find the things that make us want to feel that again. And I've always been a person of feeling like, and I've always just pursued that. Even when I feel like I'm not actively pursuing it, I know that like I'm looking for it and it's going to hit when it's going to hit. So, just trust that. I've trusted that whatever I'm doing is leading me to that anyway. So, and whenever I've gotten to those feelings, it's never like led me astray. It's never been bad. So just got to keep following that.
No, I hear you, man. It's that saying, you do something that scares you every day. And like, that's the feeling I get from this podcast. Anytime I'm like, when I'm waiting for you to come on, I'm just like, I take a deep breath and just remember that I've been doing this for a while, and there's nothing to be, nervous about. But I got you. All right, man. We finished the warm-up questions, and let's move on to the icebreaker. So, in the icebreaker, let me ask you: you want to do a this or that, or a word association?
Ooh, let's do a this or that.
All right, for sure. So you're gonna have 34 seconds to do as many as you can. Not really too much pressure on that. Just know that after the 34 seconds are done, I'm gonna press on a couple of your answers. All right?
Okay, for sure.
All right, here we go, man. In 3, 2, 1. Vacation or staycation?
Staycation.
Regret or doubt?
Regret.
Mind or heart?
Sorry, doubt. Mind.
Books or movies?
Movies.
Underestimated or overestimated?
Underestimated all day.
Time machine or magic wand?
Time machine.
Sort by price or by rating?
Ooh, price.
All right.
Sort by price all the time.
I got you, man.
Let me answer that before you even ask me that.
Go for it.
This is why you sort by price.
Tell me
you
why.
Sort by price because if it's an electronic and it's priced high, that means it is probably good. Because if it's rated low, that means nobody wanted to pay the top dollar just to get the best thing. Now you can have like something of low quality that a lot of people like because it just quote unquote got the job done. But if you're paying something high price, it's never going away. Like, it's just not going away.
I got you.
Would you rather pay $50 Korean barbecue or $10 Korean barbecue? I'm not paying for no $10 Korean barbecue, bro. I'm not trying to sit on the toilet for an hour, dog. No.
Got you.
No, bro.
It makes sense, man. It makes sense.
Yes.
What's the best value you feel like you got in then? Like that just hit that medium of like, okay, I wasn't expecting this to be like so good. if there was like the last thing that you remember.
Oh my God. Damn, the last thing where I got like some really good value, huh? I mean,
if there hasn't been one, it's fine. But
I got you. No, I got you. I was in the Philippines this past January, and I was DJing in Cebu. My hotel, to kind of picture it, I was in a plaza. My hotel's in the plaza, and then literally a couple steps away from my hotel was the club. Now, a couple steps away from the club was a shoe store. And so I turned to the guy who hired me. I said, hey, bro, like, are those shoes like legit? And he's like, hey, bro, I mean, we're over here in the Philippines, and he stays there, right? And he's like, just do your thing, bro. I'm rocking them right now. I'm like, all right, bet. That's all I needed to know. So I walk in, and bro, they literally had everything. They had every single holy grail. Like, so I'll tell you this. I walked out with a pair of Travis Scott Cactus Jack Dunks and some off-white 5s. Guess how much I paid for those?
I'm gonna say $50.
$50. You literally hit it right on the head, bro.
For sure.
I spent $50 to get both of those joints. And so I turned to my boy. I was like, hey, bro, like, why are they so cheap? Because they look legit. I mean, I don't care if they're legit or not.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what they are, bro? They're factory rejects. So they're made in the same factory as all the other ones. It's just that there's a small detail about them that, like, they didn't like. So they're like, they ship it to the Philippines or whatever. I'm like, good. Because next time I'm here, I'm bringing an empty suitcase just for these, bro. Best value. And literally whenever I wear them, everyone's like, hey, bro, those kicks are hard as hell. And I'm like, thanks. Got them for $20, bro.
I feel it, man. I have shopped in the Philippines, so I think that's why I was able to guess that number. But yeah, I like that new wave. I don't know if you noticed. I feel like that's this wave of like, oh, you don't gotta pay the high prices. Just get the bootleg, and nobody cares.
Bro, I don't care. I'm not a shoe head like that, so I really don't care. So, and if a shoe head came up to me and was like, oh, you got some fakes on, cool, bro. I literally have nothing to do with your life, and vice versa. Like, I like my shoes that I got for $25
for sure,
and I'm wearing them. They're not just sitting in the freaking you know what I mean? They're not just sitting in the closet. Yeah. Like, I'm cool, bro. Shoes are meant to be worn. I'm not tripping.
I feel you, man. I feel you. My homies too. They have this website, and I don't remember off the top of my head, like Funky Letters, but they do got the list of like all the Adidas, all the new Nike stuff. And I was thinking to myself, should I cop it? He copped the Cactus Jack Dunks too off there, and like he's been rocking them. Nobody notices. Nobody's gonna come up to you and be like, those are fake. So
exactly, bro. And half the time I'm out, I'm in the dark.
Exactly.
So like, bro, like, if you really come up to me and you're talking about you got fake shoes, first of all, it's dark as hell. You must be really looking at my shoes to identify if these are real or not. Like, do something else with your life, bro. Like, I'm not tripping if these are fake.
Hey, man, it's their passion. They're passionate about those things.
Hey, man, look.
I hear you.
To each his own. To each his own.
One of my stories with fake shoes back in 2007. I was getting into eBay and buying all these fake jerseys and stuff, but I wanted to get some Air Forces, so I picked up some Air Forces for like $20 on eBay. And I just remember I showed my friends, and my friends like, yo, let me get that too, that's a great deal. So like, we all got these fake Forces on, and then we're like playing football in the yard or whatever. Shoes like literally fall apart, like the midsole comes off the top base, and we're just like everyone's,
oh my god.
like, yo, what's wrong with your shoes?
I mean, look, bro, I wouldn't recommend, playing football in fake shoes. I think you got to get some real deal cleats, bro. Like,
I learned that day. I was like, but yeah, so that's my
That's
story with
funny.
fake shoes. One more thing before we move on, but you seem to have some issue with regret or doubt.
Yeah. I literally doubted myself with that one. And you know why? Because I had to think about it for really quickly, and we only had like 36 seconds to answer everything. But
I got you.
I could doubt myself. I know I can doubt myself before I want to like regret like a decision that I make, because like if I doubt myself, that just means I'm questioning something. And it's mainly because I don't have the direct answer to it, and I am seeking the direct answer. Like I can go into a club feeling doubtful that it's going to be a good night, but I will regret it if I don't do the best that I can. You know what I mean? And I'd rather go in there with a little bit of doubt and just knowing that I do the best that I can, rather than like, I regret doing this spot and knowing that I didn't even do well. You know? Like, so I always go in knowing that I'm going to do my best so that I don't have any regrets afterwards.
I feel you, man.
Yeah.
Just a heads up, man. We got about 15, 20 minutes left in this interview.
Yeah. Sorry, I talk a lot.
No, it's good, man. I tell my guests all the time that that's a good sign, right? Like, we're not getting into the spots. That means we're just having good conversation. So
yeah,
it's not a big deal for me. But I do want you to experience the wheel one time. So let's move on to the wheel, dog. Wheel of Fate. I'm going to give the wheel a spin, and whichever number it lands on, that's how the conversation will flow. Let me see if I get this wheel back on, though. It's been tripping out on me sometimes like this, but
it's all good.
Fuck with it. There we go. All right, so just a heads up, if this question's too deep, too personal, you want to skip, feel free to say pass. But your first number is 12.
Okay.
And then this one is, you feel comfortable opening up, but when was the last time you cried and why?
That's easy. The last time I cried was it was last week. It was last week. I was just telling my girlfriend Jackie that I've been busting my ass ever since I moved to LA.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of trial and error and a lot of things that I wouldn't say didn't work out, but things that I have eventually like let go of, and those things eventually evolved into like what I'm doing now, right? So to put it into perspective, when I came here, I was just a college student trying to figure out like what I wanted to do with my life in a broadcast journalism communications field. Like I literally had zero clue what I wanted to do. You fast forward to now, that person has become a radio host, a radio DJ, a DJ for the Dodgers, a DJ for festivals. I'm putting together raves right now. I have a podcast, Mexipino podcast, with my girlfriend Jackie. We do a Mexipino food fest that is booming right now. I DJ literally anywhere and everywhere that I can. And now the one thing that, and this goes back to the regret question, was that I thought so much to myself, like, what would I regret not doing if I grow up? And I just never got a chance to do this. And it always turned back to creating music, right? And so now you see myself in the past 3 months just like going at it, learning different tricks and learning how to produce and working with the right people. And I cried last week because I've never felt so close to getting everything that I want. Like, if you ever see that meme where it's like someone's digging and digging and digging, and there's one person who goes back, but one person keeps digging, and there's like a diamond at the end of that tunnel. I feel like that diamond is literally on the other side as long as I just keep hacking at it. I just got to keep hacking at it. And I've never felt so close to it before. And I cried because, you know, I told her, I was like, well, what if it like doesn't work out? What if I just keep on digging and there's no diamond basically? And she told me, she's like, you've been working so hard for the past like 9-10 years, like why wouldn't there be one? If this is what you feel and you've been following that feeling for the past 9-10 years, like why wouldn't there be one right there? And you know, it was a very vulnerable moment for me, but you know, I'm just thankful that she was able to like help me come to realization and understand that like, yeah, I have been working hard, and everything that I've done, especially over the past couple of years, has just worked, and everything is now coming together. And so why is it now that I think I have the glue to it all, why do I feel like a sense of doubt? Is it because of like unpreparedness? No, it's because I feel like if I keep on hacking at it, that the diamond won't be there. But I shouldn't be scared anymore. I could doubt that the diamond is there, but I'll regret it if I turn back.
I hear you.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'll regret it if I turn back. So I'd rather doubt that the diamond's there, but then just have this little hunch that I just got to keep on going at it. And, you know, I feel like it's there. So, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that was like the gist of the conversation.
No,
but,
I got you. I got you. Nah, man, I appreciate you opening up about it. I have two thoughts about it. The first one, let's see if I could remember. So I have a similar feeling sometimes of like, I've been the dreamer my whole life. I've been the person that has all these ideas and want to do all these things. And it's been, first it was rapping, next it was like this clothing brand, and now it's this podcast. For me, especially like just thinking about what success means to me, and you know, where do I want these projects to go and become, like there's that saying of like, you know, maybe the diamond is the whole process or the whole journey, right? Like I don't know if that scares me or not. Like, am I supposed to be okay with not building this into something that I want to see it become, and just be happy with like, man, I just grinded all these years, that I just grinded. And you know, I do find the what's special in that. I do find the joy in that. It's just, as a person who's like trying to frame it in the right way in my mind. Like, I don't know if I should be focused on that end goal that's so far, or just really just appreciate what I'm doing right now. How do you feel about that?
I mean, you know, I think, let me formulate this in the best way possible.
I got you. Yeah.
I think that when you're in a position where you wanted to do what you're currently doing, right? You probably saw like a podcast, or you got inspired by something, and you're like, man, I wish I could just get a microphone, start talking to people, and just have conversations, right? Like at one point you were like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Currently you're at that point, right? I think the issue is that like it goes back to that feeling of like excitement and whatnot. It's like, well, I remember the first time I did this podcast. I remember the first time I did this, the first time I did that. I felt all this excitement. Like, how come it just like went away? And the thing is that like, these are the moments that you were fighting so hard for. And so there's two things that you can do, and I will advise not only for you, but for anyone to do, right? Like, one, realize that you are living the dream or the success that you so hope to achieve. And B, if you feel like you want more, you always have to plan for more, bro. You always have to look forward to like what's next, right? So like, if you're not there, bro, there were days where I did like 4 interviews in one day, bro. And that is when I felt like, I love this. This is like one of my best days ever. Right? And then the following week, it's like 0 interviews. And I'm just like, ugh, like this sucks. But you're always going to go through those, you know, those trials and tribulations, man. It's just a matter of like, how much more time and effort are you willing to put into yourself, and how much more quote unquote success are you trying to see? You know, if it's like, I want to have more guests on my podcast, well, you better focus on how to get more guests on your podcast. If it's like, how do I monetize my podcast, it's okay, cool, like, can I bring some sponsorships in? If it's, how do I do a live podcast, well, go ahead, figure out how you can do a live podcast. I'm sure there's several different spots around you that would allow you to do that. And then after you do a live podcast, it's like, cool, I got 10 people to show up. How can I get 50 people to show up next time? How can I get 100 people to show up next time? And it's always little goals like that, bro, that like keep the journey fun and easy for you to not blow your brains over. Because if you're over here talking about like, well, I want to have 100,000 listeners every month on my podcast, it's like, get to 10 first.
Yeah.
Get to 10, then get to 50, then get to 100, then get to 200, then get to 5. Like, set little goals for yourself like that every single day. And if those are the things that continue to make you happy, by all means, keep hacking at it.
I got you, man. Now that is definitely something I need to work on as far as setting realistic goals. You know, one of the downfalls of being a dreamer is like you want things to happen so quickly, so fast. And I had to learn the hard way of like, nah, you got to fall in love with the process before, you know, you can get everything that you're thinking of.
Yeah, bro. I mean, it's just the law of attraction, man. I actually had a talk with my boy, Johnny Maxwell, about this. It's just, you know, you can try to get like that quick look of fame for 15 seconds, and you're gonna feel like you're on top of the world. But coming from someone who like knows what it takes to go viral on the internet, it's like that shit fades so quick. That feeling fades so quick, and it's satisfying but also dissatisfying when it leaves. So what you got to do is you just got to constantly set all those small goals, and you'll constantly just feel like little bits of like, I'm happy, I'm cool, I'm content with doing this. I'm happy that everybody gets to see it, and I'm happy it's put out to the world. Once you get in that spot where like you've let go of your ego and you've decided like, I'm just going to put my best foot forward and let the world consume it, and that's it, like, you will be in a space where nothing else matters to you other than creation. And once you do that, like, bro, there, note to self, let go of ego. I see it right behind you right now. That's all you got to do. Let go of your ego.
For sure, man. And now that honestly, you just gave me a huge affirmation, because in my thought process, that's how I feel about just doing this in general. It's just, as long as I'm talking to folks, maybe once a week, twice a week, whatever it is, I'm gonna be content. I'm gonna be happy. And like when you said, you know, put your best foot forward, let the world consume it however they want to, is like, that's something I gotta keep in mind. It's not, I don't want to force this on anybody. I don't want to tell people like, hey, listen to this person, listen to this podcast. It's just really like, when you're in the mood of like, you want to hear something from a stranger, something different, something new, check it out. But I really hope it's for you and your family and your descendants one day, that like they can listen back and be like, yo, I can't believe I'm hearing them at this age and all that stuff. So that's what's special to me and what keeps me going. But thank you for affirming that for me.
Of course, bro, of course.
All right, dog. Unfortunately, we got to move on to this last portion, the closeout section of the podcast. So this next part is a little activity. I'm gonna need you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable, and I'm gonna describe you the scenario. All right. So imagine that you're climbing up a mountain. You're getting to the top of the mountain, and there's just stuff you want to get off your chest. I'm gonna give you a prompt, and I'm gonna want you to fill this out, which is I am, I can, I will. So I am blank, I can blank, I will blank. You're on this mountain, you're about to yell. What would you yell out? Whenever you're ready, feel free to open your eyes, let it rip.
Can you repeat the prompt again?
I am, I can, I will.
Okay. I am strong. I can get to the top of this mountain, and I will get to the other side because I'm thirsty as hell, and I know there's some spring water.
I got you, man. And now, if you ever forget, now you have this little sound clip of yourself, just reminding you who you are, what you can do, what you will do. Thank you for participating. And
thank you, bro. I appreciate that. That's the first time I ever got a prompt like that on a podcast, so I love it.
Right on, man. All right, last 3 questions for you. This one is actually from my previous guest, so shout out to Zenaida. Zenaida's question for you is, how do you try to boss yourself up? You know, how do you like to challenge yourself?
I like to be around people that are better than me at what I do. I like to be around better DJs. I like to be around better producers. I like to be around better music heads. I like to be around people who have thrown festivals and just soak up their game, figure out what they do, and apply it to my own style of doing these things. I love being the least intelligent person in the room. It's wrong when you're the most intelligent person in the room.
I feel you, actually.
Yeah.
But nah, I got you. That is, I think, great advice. You know, something I don't think I've had the opportunity to do completely. I'm a homebody. I don't put myself out there as often as I should. But no, definitely at my day job, I feel like I'm surrounded by people who've definitely been doing the work longer than I have. And I'm just trying to pick things up. And it's crazy because they sometimes look at me like, oh, you know this stuff. And I'm like, I really don't. I don't know anything. So, it's great that I'm here.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. My second to last question for you is, what would you like to ask the next guest on 34 Questions?
How do you define success?
How do you define?
And what makes a successful day to you?
What makes, I'm writing this down, a successful day to you?
I like that, by the way. That chain of questions, that's pretty cool, bro. That's very creative. I like that.
It's a way to connect the guests, man. Like, and hopefully, you know, Zenaida listens to your answer to her question and so on and so forth. But yeah, that was something I tried to figure out, how to connect people like that don't really know each other, right?
Hey, that's super cool. As soon as you asked the first question, I was like, I get it. So I need to come up with a question right away.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, no, that was cool. That was cool. That was super cool.
So, and I like to answer this last one as well. How do I define success? I feel like it's so personal, you know? It's like everyone is gonna answer this question differently. I think, you know, it's really just being content with everything you have. I feel like if I put myself in a place where like I'm doubting myself or like really unsure of what I'm doing, I don't think that's being successful, you know. But for me, and why I feel like, you know, so far this is a success, is that it fills me up when I'm not at work, and my day job fills me up, like fills my soul up. So it's like this continuing cycle of what's gonna fill up my soul. So doing the second part was, what's a successful day to me, is if I can go to my day job, do my thing there, come home and have this conversation with a stranger. But also, I think, which is the hardest part for me, is making time for my family, making time for my girl, making time for my homies, and just trying to keep all of that balanced. And I think if I was gonna think of what last time I felt successful, is when I felt like all those cups were being filled, and I feel like when I'm unsuccessful is when someone's, my girl or my homie's like, hey man, like I haven't seen you in a month, when are we gonna kick it, or, you know, check in or talk. And I'm like, damn, I'm not doing a great job of that. But yeah, so success, I think, is personal. I think it's just being content with what you got, and what makes a successful day is just doing those, filling my soul, filling my cups, and making sure my relationships are balanced. But yeah, appreciate that, and we'll see who gets your question next. All right, man, my last question for you, the question that ties everything together. 100, 200, 300 years from now, your descendants are watching this video. What would you like to tell them?
I busted my ass, so then I hope y'all do the same damn thing.
I got you, man. They hear you.
Not for me, but for your families. For yourself and for your families, and just honestly do what you love to do. Literally nobody can take that away from you. And as long as you stick true to that, you'll be all right.
For sure, man. They hear you. I hear you. Any last things you'd like to add before we head out of here? I don't know if you want plugs or you don't want people to know.
Oh yeah, for sure. Nico, aka Blitz, everywhere. That's Nico, aka Blitz, Instagram, TikTok, all that. Just Nico Blitz on Spotify and Apple Music come mid-July. I think we're dropping the song. It's called Come Through, Nico Blitz featuring Johnny Maxwell and Catch 24. We are dropping, I want to say September 15th or September 22nd. So one of those days. I'll just say mid-September.
I got you.
Yeah, look out for that.
For sure, man. I want to thank you again, Nico, for coming through. I didn't get to tell you how I found you, but it was the Mexipino podcast. I think it was something that popped up in my algorithm, and I mean, I'm a Ramirez too, so I think I was like, oh shit, cool.
Super dope. Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah, and I was like, let me just follow these folks, and then I saw that first, and I saw that you were a DJ, and I see Jackie doing her thing too. So I was like, let me reach out, see what's good with these folks. So yeah, thank you for making time for this, man. I want to thank all the folks out there who's listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or watching on YouTube. Thank you for your time as well. Remember to reach out, reach forward. As always, much love. And we'll catch you guys next time on 34 Questions. Peace. And then it kind of fades out from there. I roll my credits. But yeah, man, I mean, that's pretty much the the show for you. Thank you again.
That's super dope, bro.
Thank you, man. Just working on it.
No, that was super dope. I really like this podcast.